So, today we're going to talk about a murder case from India that really just ignited a nationwide fight for justice. And look, this isn't just a true crime story. It's about a whole country having to confront a system that, frankly, seemed to protect the powerful over the innocent.
So let's set the scene. It's Delhi, April 30th, 1999. You've got this lavish party at a farmhouse, a real gathering of the city's elite. You know, the kind of world where your last name and your connections, well, they mean pretty much everything.
But what happened that night? Wow. It sent absolute shockwaves across India. It ended up exposing a justice system that seemed incredibly vulnerable to money and power. It really became a defining moment for the entire nation.
Which brings us to our first section, a system on trial. Because this case really put the whole idea of power versus justice right in the spotlight.
So, at the center of this whole storm was Jessica Lal. She was a model, moonlighting as a bartender that night, and by all accounts, just a bright, determined young woman trying to make her way in Delhi. A totally normal person, you know? So let's get into the specifics of that night. Section 2, a deadly no. Okay, so the party's winding down, the bar is closing, and that's when Manu Sharma, the son of a really powerful politician, walks up and demands a drink. Jessica just politely tells him, sorry, the bar's closed, but he insists, right? He gets angry, aggressive. When she stood her ground, he just pulled out a gun. He fired one shot into the air, a warning shot, and then a second one directly at Jessica from point-blank range. She collapsed right there. And this is the part that is just so chilling. This entire brutal act was triggered by one single word: no. I mean, can you imagine, for someone so used to getting their way, being told no was an insult that he thought was punishable by death? The level of entitlement, it's just staggering. So you think, okay, there were dozens of witnesses. This has to be an open and shut case, right? Well, what happened in the courtroom delivered a twist that shocked everybody. That brings us to our next section, justice betrayed. Just look at the initial evidence. It was overwhelming. I mean, you have a murder in a room packed with witnesses. You have a very clearly identified suspect with powerful connections. Multiple people saw him do it, and the weapon was even recovered. On paper, this was an absolute slam dunk for the prosecution. And yet, in February 2006, the trial court delivered its verdict. Manu Sharma and all the other accused were acquitted. Just let go, declared innocent. And the official reason? A lack of evidence. Why? Because key witnesses had turned hostile, which is a legal way of saying they suddenly changed their stories. Well, you can just imagine the public reaction. It was immediate and it was furious. The verdict basically confirmed everyone's worst fears, that in India, justice could be bought and that the powerful really were above the law. The system hadn't just bent here. It felt like it had completely broken. But that public anger became the turning point. It was the catalyst for a huge change, which leads us to our next part: a nation demands justice. So this massive campaign called Justice for Jessica just sort of exploded. News channels were all over it, covering the case relentlessly. They refused to let the story die. And that coverage fueled this incredible wave of public anger that literally spilled onto the streets. People were holding candlelight vigils, protests. The pressure became so immense that the authorities had no choice but to reopen the case and appeal that verdict. And what happened next was this stunning reversal, a true victory for the people. Okay, so check out this timeline. It's pretty fascinating. In February 2006, you have a full acquittal. Everyone walks free. But by December of that same year, the High Court had completely overturned it. They found Manu Sharma guilty and sentenced him to life in prison. That kind of rapid reversal just shows you the undeniable impact of all that public pressure. So, what are the lasting lessons here? Well, the Jessica Lal case became a landmark. It exposed just how vulnerable witnesses were to intimidation, which led to a really serious push for stronger witness protection programs. It also proved the media's power to hold the justice system accountable. But maybe the biggest takeaway of all, that collective public outcry can, and in this case, did, force the system to change course. You know, in the end, this was so much more than one crime at one party. It really was a war between power and justice, a battle for the very soul of India's legal system. And that leaves us with one pretty powerful, lingering question to think about.
If the public hadn't raised its voice, would Jessica Lal have ever gotten justice?